Record. Yay! Welcome to CTtalks Lifestyle Reset, and welcome. We're still very excited. NBA is about to restart, and of course, I'm in great company of my friend Bruce. Thank you for joining me. It's always great to have you. And I know it's early for you back in California, but for me, it's already 6 o'clock. So, cheers.
And you just know how to make people a little jealous too. I mean, for you to just what is that? Some Sauvignon Blanc, you know,
You
a little
got it.
Chardonnay.
No, it's the
Oh,
Sauvignon Blanc. And what are you having?
and I'm a this is Kool-Aid. See, in Kool-Aid, this takes me back to I'm in Fresno right now, and when I was a kid, my aunt and uncle used to make the best Kool-Aid, and they had a science to it. So not only you empty a packet in the pitcher, you empty another packet of another flavor.
Ooh.
Then you rinse one time with a little water, the same packets out, and then you put an insane amount of sugar.
You add sugar to
Stir it up.
Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Nobody don't drink Kool-Aid without sugar. You drink Kool-Aid without sugar, it was an accident.
Oh, and I thought I was hyper. My God, you
Uh,
must have been bouncing off the walls.
you know what? It's something about us back in the day. No, it was part of being a kid. You didn't bounce off the walls because of sugar. You just bounced off walls because you didn't have anything taken away from your mind or your, video game here or there. You want to be outside. And there was
Yeah.
the fact that you couldn't keep coming in and out the house.
Because then
You
you were
come
left
in one
inside.
and you were going to clean up.
Yes.
And then I didn't want to clean up.
Nobody does. Nobody
And
does.
all it took was come in here one more time. And it was like, okay, I'm going out. I'm going. And you try to make an excuse. I got to use the bathroom. Boy, go on the side of the house. So, no. So I'm having a little Kool-Aid in our chat today.
Congratulations. So I'll have my own Kool-Aid. Cheers.
Oh, but yours look. Oh, look, do you have a little cheese tray with you as well?
I'm not going to share that with you.
Okay.
I got cheese, I got dates, I got hazelnuts.
Oh, look at you. I mean, I like it. I like it.
It,
I like it.
hey, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm in Florida. We can't go anywhere. I got to be entertained.
Ooh. Oh, it's sometimes we wonder what certain things that happen in life. Now, I'm not this person and I'm trying to tell you, oh, this is because of this. But it's interesting in the most adverse situations that we go through, it's amazing how we tend to come out on the other side or even during the process. Think about this, Claudia. How many people are becoming more resourceful with their time now? Here it is. I think we lost the opportunity of what communion is with people.
Yes.
And now that you can't shake someone's hand, and in the Latin community you can't kiss someone
Or hug.
is or hug, it's that tactile touch that is so necessary in our in our world, in our time, in our cultures. So I just find this interesting that I see more and more people wishing that they could just touch someone, that they could just give them a hug without worry of infringing or the pandemic or anything like that. But I said all that to say this is that I believe that this is going to make us better human beings when we're able to get out and about and do the things as we once did, because I think you took something for granted there. I hate, oh, my great grandmother, I used to have to reward her with games that I would make up and still lose. I had to give her kisses.
But that was so priceless, and it's unbelievable. Now we find ourselves negotiating. Is it the elbow? Is it the fist pump? Is it the bow? Even when you have those close encounters.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. We have for whatever reason, given this period of time where everything went into a full stop, and either you did
Mm-hmm.
something with your time or somebody else was going to find something for you to do with this time. And like
Yeah.
in my
And
case,
now
here we are. I'm taking advantage of technology and having chats with you all the way in California, and I haven't seen you in a year and a half.
it has been that long.
Yes,
But you know what? It's funny how we do keep in contact, that it doesn't seem to be that. I guess when you are in touch with people and you guys know what it is that you guys are, it makes things easy. You can shoot a text, you can jump on a call, and it doesn't feel like, oh, it's been years since I've seen. I think that's the plus side of technology.
absolutely.
And even with technology now, you have a lot of grandparents who cannot necessarily come around the younger individuals because of the pandemic, and they're able to do this right here. So it's just I had no direction where I was going with that, but I just feel like it's just interesting how we survive. We figure out a way to become more than just who we are, and you definitely do it to the utmost.
Thank you. And it's uncanny. It's a human ability to adjust and conform and then push the envelope and be able to be resourceful. It's natural. It's innate. And then hence we use whatever tools we have to make the situation that we're living in right now just that much better.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about that, I promised that we were gonna talk about the NBA, talk about the NBA bubble,
Mm-hmm.
what this means. I'm seeing. I know perhaps I'm a little optimistic, but I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Why am I seeing the light at the end of the tunnel? I just finished a full series of boxing from Las Vegas, and everything went pretty much smooth. Now we have almost 350 tests in the bubble for the NBA for the restart. All of
Mm-hmm.
them came out negative.
Yep.
And obviously, that means everything is that much safer to start off with. Uh,
It's a
do you
huge
feel like that?
exhale. It's a huge exhale
Yes.
because no one knew exactly how it would go about, and this is where, I when I speak with Adam Silver, he has this optimism, but it's also cautious as well. There's so much work that had to be done to make sure that you could secure a sort of bubble like this for a lot of the players. And the NBA has done a tremendous job. I mean, I say to say, I still think tremendous is an understatement. The
Yes.
fact that you have not had any positive tests within the bubble, the fact that it's almost like all these guys having a college atmosphere and they're professional, they're playing at the highest level. Um, Speaking with some of the guys within the NBA community that are in that bubble, one of the things that they talked about is that, the atmosphere there is, it's like a summer camp. And you look at it from that standpoint of a summer camp where, kids are sent away and now they have to learn what it is to learn certain arts and crafts. But I think now this gives a lot of the players even more respect for the other player, because now they get a chance to truly delve into a culture or a lifestyle or something that they just didn't know about one of their teammates. One of the things Greg Popovich used to do, we go on a road trip and everyone would be invited to dinner.
Oh,
And
priceless.
he would not allow guys to, not to allow them to sit with the same guys that they normally sit with. He wanted you to learn something different about this player that's from another country. And so when you get into that, it forms relationships beyond the game. The fact that I'm friends with Tim, Tony, and Manu, all of us are from different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Tim from the Caribbean, Tony from France, Manu from Argentina. There are so many different cultures there. And every now and then it would come out and you'd see something, you say, like for me, Tim's simplicity with life. That's that if anyone has ever been to the Caribbean, if you're late, 9 times out of 10, the person that's driving that taxi is going to say, "Hey, no problem, man." Everything is a no problem, man.
You
I mean,
just go
hey,
with the flow.
and that thing, this Claudia, for you to have the ability to just go with the flow and not feel like you have to control things. See, that's hard for adults, especially for me as a father, trying to make sure I do things the right way. We feel like we got to have a little control, and when we no
A
longer have
little,
that control,
a little. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You're talking to me. You are talking to me. We know. We
oh my,
know. Did you wake up?
we,
Did you have breakfast? What are you
oh
doing?
my
I'm taking
goodness.
you to the basketball game. I'm going to take you to practice. And we control.
It, we control. And so when you're able to kind of lose that and be okay with it and understand that there is a process to certain things in life, I think it allows little steps of growth. And so I look at a lot of these guys, people don't realize, but the total time that they will be in that bubble and being away from their family, I'm going to look at it from the flip side of, you know, it's an honor to be able to, I think, at this particular juncture right now in our society, to perform for the people.
Yes.
It is an honor because
Yes.
there are others that are struggling with this right now, and they're not able to necessarily do what they'd like to do. But here it is, the NBA has created an environment of fun, also opportunities to get to know one another, and then play the game that you love. There's a lot of guys, once we had the shutdown, they did not know what to do. And
Exactly.
I remember seeing Antoine Walker for the first time, practicing with him and playing with him when we were in Boston. And I remember our GM at the time said, you know what? He was born to play basketball. And you hear those statements, and it's kind of like, born to play basketball? I mean, if he wasn't gifted with some of the skills and this, and that, then what would you say? But there are so many individuals that knew that they wanted to be basketball players at age 5, Claudia.
Or less.
And so you take that away, or less. And if you take that away, now what do you have?
Or
You have someone.
better yet, I've heard this situation. Not only did they dream of becoming a basketball players, that's what it was instilled in them with no other options or opportunities. You are going to be a basketball player. And everything around them was all about basketball. So it wasn't just their mentality, it was their surrounding, their circumstances, their environment. And guess what? All of a sudden, March comes around and it's lockdown.
Yes.
Oof.
And so now what do you do? And this is where I talk to individuals about the importance of having something to fall back on. And this is kind of, I say you're a great example of that. Someone that has worked in television, that has been ringside and watched fights and able to dictate the fight to others, unlike anyone else. And then you're no longer in that position. What do? You didn't sit around saying, "Oh my goodness,
No.
well, okay, I know, no, you, okay, one door closes, and now it's time to, oh wait, there's a little door open over there. Let me go stick my foot in so I can wedge it open a little bit more and go from there." And I think so many individuals developed opportunity to connect with fans during this time. The whole interaction, or I should say the interactive piece with a lot of NBA players via different social networks. It has been amazing to see them interact with some of the fans. 15, 20 years ago, you didn't have that.
I was just
15,
going to
20
ask
years
you,
ago.
that didn't exist. It did that interaction via social media, whatever situation may be, it's amazing. But with that being said, I think the mentality of the basketball player has also changed. I guess due to the circumstances, they found themselves. I found, guys saying, I'm going to answer your questions for the next hour. What?
Yes.
And here I am going head first.
Yeah.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
So there was a time where we wanted to be private. We wanted to keep everything
Yes.
private, our lives. We want, there's no need for me to share this or share that. We want to be private with everything. And now, it's not about that. I think if the greatest basketball player, as far as I'm concerned, Michael Jordan can give you the last dance. Oh my goodness. Just imagine if he wasn't as private back then and he had the times that he has right now.
Now, with that being
Who
said,
knows what be going on with Mike?
exactly.
He'd
But with
have
that
what
being
40.
said,
He'd have countries following him.
and I think countries follow him now. But with that being said, did I?
Yeah,
Hi, we're
I'm
back.
back.
Yes, that means we're editing this. But no problem, we're good. So with that being said, you mentioned something very interesting because there was a sanctuary. The player was a completely different persona from the father, the husband, the Bruce Bowens of this world, the Michael Jordans of this world. Do you think the mentality or the generations have changed, mentality has changed, or is it just necessary to make that change to be so public now? Which one do you see first?
I,
Technology catching
I,
up?
I think it's generational because you have more kids that, for example, with my kids, I remember I was very strict with video games. And in the summertime, I loosen it up. Laptops. I mean, they're utilizing laptops in school in the 6th grade, in the 5th grade. So I think you have to adjust with the times as well, but it's a generational thing because they have access to different things, and it's just so much out there to feed their brain. You can't look at it from a standpoint of, oh, I'm not going to let them do that because of XYZ. It's more about careful monitoring, moderate what they're doing, monitoring things. But I think it's more about the culture of the youth now. The game is it's a worldwide game now. It's no longer just here in the US. It's global. And so here it is in the Philippines, the Facebook NBA, they have so
Millions.
millions of folks following the Facebook, so it's just, I think it's the evolution of what happens, and you have to be willing to adjust. You have to be willing to change with times. I, I talk about changes. It used to be the cool thing to wear the oversized suits, the baggy jeans,
Yes.
the 5X t-shirts. What are you doing with a 5X t-shirt on? Well, hey, that was what you did. Now we've gone from baggy jeans to fitted jeans to skinny jeans. So, I mean, everything changes, and I feel like you just have to continue to keep an open mind to say, hey,
I've seen you in your Italian
okay,
cuts too,
because
so you look great.
Bowen, thank you. It took you long enough to catch that cue,
But it's there. I've seen you. It
Oh
looks
man.
hot. But I
Well,
remember our Arsenio Hall days with the oversized shoulder pads. Oh, I was all in it, man. I was all in it.
I tell you, I was giving away some suits, and I don't know who would wear these things. It's like, man, look at the break in these pants. I could make a whole nother pair of slacks just with one pants leg. It was bad.
Wait. The Cavaricis?
Oh,
Were key.
My brother still talks
No.
about me to this day. I had some Z Cavaricis. They were kind of like hammer pants
Yes,
back
they
in the days
were.
when you would go to the club. And so he watched me get these, and I'm like, oh yeah. I say, bro, you can use them too. No, I ain't. No, you on your own with that. You gonna be the only person wearing those. But no, it's just if we're not able to change with different things, I think we stunt the growth prospect of learning. Because if we're not willing to, I think every day, as a mother, every day we're learning different things as parents, and we have to be able to adjust. And the hardest thing I think it is for us is to say to your child who's of age and say, hey, what do you think of us doing this? It goes back to that control thing, but it's also the growth, which is necessary.
But in the letting go, there's so much more growth than
Oh,
controlling, because then you realize that it's all an illusion. Control is an illusion. And I'd rather be part of it than sit at the stands and watch everything happen, because that's basically what's going on with a lot of people.
and in the bubble, these guys
Yes.
have had to let go of the controlling of their own lives. Okay, I'm gonna go to Pollo Tropical right after practice. Then after that, we're going to go to Prime 112. So
It's not going to happen.
it's not going to happen. And so, you are, you're living a different lifestyle in that bubble, because it's no longer what I control as far as going to get. Now, okay, I have a set menu, okay, and I have to deal with it. And I think one of the biggest things, I mean, when we talk about these types of things, it's like guys who have personal chefs, their chef's not able to come.
Mm-mm.
Got all the little tedious things that all their sweat and effort and everything they put into the game, it afforded them those things. I am not knocking those who have chefs or anything like that, but to go from having a chef to now I get what everybody else gets. Now it's going to be healthy, obviously, but it is such a huge change to their world. I think these are some of the things where you talk about a spoiled athlete. People don't truly understand that it's not about a spoiled athlete now. It's about an athlete trying to bring hope to people and bring joy and some type of entertainment, because we've lost it.
You know what? I want to just create like a little pause here. I was having a conversation today with NBA fans, and we were talking, of course, my Lakers. That's okay. You're not allowed to say anything. Moving right along.
Uh-huh.
And there was this comment that really, it was like a little thorn. They're a bunch of, literally, the comment from these fans, they're actually baseball fans, and we were just talking about NBA, and they were asking me about my opinion, whatever. Of course, I said my Lakers, whatever. And I quote, they're a bunch of overgrown, spoiled babies. They're in a bubble, but they're taken care of from, at their beck and call, anytime, any day. I can say yes, it's true. But then again, I can say absolutely not, because we forget, because we say play basketball. So we don't really understand. We don't see this as a profession. We don't see this as there's work ethic, there's dedication, there's sacrifice. And I honestly took exception to this, even though I've never played basketball in my life as an NBA player, obviously. But as an athlete in general, people don't understand that you guys perhaps have not been afforded a night out drinking, some more than others. Proms, those days in college where you would be carefree. That doesn't happen to these guys. These guys are on the job 24 hours, 7 days a week during a season. And let's not talk about preseason, because I remember back in the day, there was no preseason. There was no getting ready for the season. It was like, okay, you showed up for work, and a lot of them were overweight and they had to catch up. But the truth of the matter is, because there's this connotation of basketball player, then they're overgrown babies. They just play.
Well, this is the thing. It's really hard for anyone to understand the plight of a player when at a professional level. I respect everyone in their opinion for what they feel about different things. And at the same time, it's hard for you to be in someone else's shoes when you have something completely different. And I'll say this. I always said this, like, I didn't have a great relationship with my biological mother. And people they didn't understand my hurt and different things that went on because I didn't have that nurturing person in my life. I didn't have that person, that first person that you love because of the connection. I didn't have that. And people, I always respected those who had that, and I could see them loving with their mom and their mom showering them with love. But I didn't judge them for that because it's hard for me to be in those shoes because I never had that. On the flip side, all I would ask for was respect the things that I've gone through and understand that this is the reason why I am the way I am. And so I'd have many people, family members, friends, people that didn't know, oh man, you need to do something really nice for your mom. And it was always a tug of war to me when I heard that, because they made the assumption that I had what they had.
Oh, good point.
See, and so when we talk about these NBA players being spoiled, see, a lot of people don't understand the fact that when you are criticized from the top of your head down to your shoes, how that feels. See, money doesn't absolve people of feelings.
True.
If you look into what's really going on, we have given money away in hopes of bringing something different back to us. But what we tend to learn is that it is not about that monetary item. It's about what I can truly feel from someone. And money has nothing to do with it. So the fact that this individual makes a lot of money, this other person who's criticizing him can't understand what comes along with that. You hear it more with people who have lost a lot of money. The first thing someone that is a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type of individual that goes to work, first thing they say, well, if I had $1 million, I know how to save it. Really, you need to thank your parents that they sent you to college to learn how to manage money, because there's many individuals in the NBA who went from college and never really having a job to all of a sudden millions. What happens to people when they come into contact with millions? How do they learn the aspect of saving money? How do they learn the aspect of being able to save a little bit for a later date? It's through their experiences. It's through their hardships. And unfortunately, their life is lived out in front of the media.
Allen Iverson.
And so, Alan, I mean, every individual has gone through something at some point.
Yes.
Where thank God they had that second and third max contract.
Yes.
See, but
or that one person that by the love of God was watching over them.
Watching over them. And a lot of times it's not the agent. It's been many. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he lost a lot of money through his agent.
Exactly.
So it's, who do you trust? It's so many different things that go on with being an athlete. Are they around me because they like me? Or are they around me because they want something from me? See, I go through these things, and that's not just friends, that's family as well. I haven't been to a family reunion, Claudia, in, I may went to 2 that I remember, and I was in my early teens, because I didn't know anybody. I have my circle family that I'm around the most. And I remember going to a family reunion and I didn't know anyone. Now, just fast forward some more years, I'm an NBA champ and I go to the family reunion and people, hey, cuz, what's happening? Cousin. Let me hold something. See, first, it's so many different avenues that I can go with those types of situations, but I get back to the whole aspect of looking at this individual who you consider a spoiled athlete, but did he earn it? No matter how you feel, he earned that.
There is no way to make it into the NBA without earning it. No way.
Oh, you can't. See, people, that whole term, the chosen one with LeBron, he has been the only one.
Cheers.
The only only one, the only one that has been able to understand what he means to the league as well as what the league means to him.
Mm.
The other one was Michael Jordan. And once Jordan retired, there were a plethora of guys that they wanted to anoint as the next individual that could
It
possibly
didn't
carry
happen.
the league. It did not happen. But if you
Well,
look at LeBron, you look at LeBron and what he's done. Has he missed a lot of time due to
no.
injury? Has he missed a lot of time just because? Has he thrown tantrums in the media and then fallen off? He continues to reinvent his game. He continues to get out front and take on different topics that he doesn't have to, but this is what chosen individuals do. They stand up when things aren't going well, when the jerseys are being burned in Cleveland. That's
I
his
remember.
home. I mean, that's his home. That's where he's from. And then he comes back and he gets a championship. The emotions that he had,
Oh, I was there.
Cleveland,
I was there.
I mean, Cleveland, this is for you. And see, to me, it's not about the points that he scored. It's the defensive play against Andre Iguodala. That was the play. That's why the whole term has always said that, yeah, offense wins games, but defense wins championships.
True that. True that. And with that being said, there's a before and after. I remember back in the day, before most of us were born, the NBA players were just that, NBA players. And now all of a sudden they become standards for social community. I am going to date exactly 1992 when one of my heroes, Magic Johnson, comes out and says, you know, I'm HIV positive. And that point in time, it was like, and it's just one social issue that all of a sudden came into your face. Very
Mm-hmm.
much, and I know I don't want to mix apples and pears, but pandemic, viruses, you're fearing for your life. This is when the big guys come up front and say, I am going to take that step and I'm going to show you that life will continue.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, we all know Magic's career, and then that basically he made it to Barcelona, and that was the end of that. But the truth of the matter is, he carried his name and the NBA to a completely different era, community-wise, world-wise, in terms of how you see what's going on in the world. And this is what's going on with the NBA right now. I did a little bit of research, and obviously, we've talked about systemic racism
Mm-hmm.
and prejudice, and the NBA has always been extremely aware of their positioning socially, and they've had always a certain element in their players within their teams that have been able to bring all these subject matters forth in very respectful ways, in very peaceful ways, in very coherent ways. I know you were part of the NBA in an era where, you know, there was a lot to be said about being a Black man in a community like San Antonio, in a community like Miami, but moreover, being proud and still showing up for work every day with the utmost respect and work ethic. How do you
And
see that now, today, in 2020?
I see more pride. I see more pride in the fact that understanding that you do have a platform and people listening on that platform. See, you talk about Magic Johnson. One of the greatest things that I think that he did during that time is he didn't sit still.
No.
He didn't just say, poor me, poor me. No, that door closed and he looked for an advocate with the president at the time and came up with a program to help kids that were affected with HIV.
Mm-hmm.
You look at his business aspect, and he's been able to mentor so many individuals when it comes to business. And his thought process is, hey, he was always about business, but hey, because I was always about business, I was able to keep business going even when I was no longer able to play basketball. You look at more and more individuals now, they talk about their brand. Guys didn't think of their brand before. They didn't know what a brand was. They were only concerned with what brand jeans or clothing you were wearing.
True.
So now you have that that individual now is looking not just for now, but towards the future. And how can I build things in a better way for those behind me? And that's the beauty of what I've been able to see. And retired, I've seen how guys that played in my era has paved the way for some of the guys that are coming. And hopefully we will continue that recycling effect of pulling guys aside and talking to them. One of the biggest things that I tried to do, I remember I was speaking with Darren Williams one year, and I said, hey, those three letters, NBA, are powerful. You have an opportunity to use it whichever way you want to. And so he was able to do different things. But once guys start to understand that there are options there, it makes things so much easier for you to now think outside the box, because that's what Adam encourages more than anything else. I can text Adam right now and he'll respond and, thanks for that information, because he understands that it's not about me not listening to the individuals who are giving their sweat and tears to something. I have to listen to them to see how we can make it better. And maybe if I take an idea of that individual, take it to someone else, we build on that. Next thing you know, we have something that's bigger than what it was before. Mm-hmm. So, and also talk about the day of what's going on, for guys to take a stand for the different things that are going on now. I think it's better because you have even more individuals shining a light on something. Because I still think of this picture where it's Jim Brown, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad Ali,
yes,
and Jackie Robinson. They were together and they represented major sports, African Americans in major sports. But even with them back then, there was still police brutality. There were still lives being taken. There were still injustices. There was still systematic racism. There was still all those different things that were going on. And so now I think of what, the platform is now. You have LeBron James leading everyone in, Trayvon Martin situation. Then the I Can't Breathe. So you have more and more athletes now. And now it seems that someone is starting to listen now. Now, that's not to say that Jim Brown, those guys, they got it wrong. It was just the day and age of where we live. It's still continuously progressing, and it's going to continue to progress. And Claudia, I think we're to see the change, or we're going to be as feeders in the opportunity for the change.
Cheers for that.
So when we talk about these things, and when you have people to say things like, oh, they can do more than that. Well, my only thoughts, or my only words to those individuals, make sure you're doing just as much as someone else before you start watching what they're doing.
True.
Because we all play a role in this. We all play a role in this.
When we talk about this, we mentioned in another conversation Colin Kaepernick, and now when I see Major League Baseball starting and they're allowing teams to take knees, and the NFL is actually encouraging players to take a knee, and obviously in NBA it's all over the place. It's going to be part of the court. When we come from the environment that we come from, mm-hmm. that being non-white was, I'm not going to say not acceptable, but it wasn't preferred. I'm mm-hmm. just going to change the rhetoric there for a minute. How does that make you feel? Still being an NBA insider and seeing all the environment around you in other professional leagues changing, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good, but at the same time, not good enough to sit down and, all right, wow, it's happened. Okay. It's just, let's see where we're going from this. It's far from being absolved from us. I'm still a Black man. I'm still a man that when I walk into a room, I'm judged immediately because of the color of my skin and not the content or character of my heart. I have to make others feel comfortable. I have to make sure that, hey, everything okay. I don't get respected just because of who I am and what's behind my name. I still have to do those things. And that's just the way it is. I'm not trying to change that, except that it's only through these changes and through these hard conversations we need to have that we have the ultimate change. It doesn't mean that we're going to agree, because we're not. But that's how you find resolve. That's how we come to a conclusion. If we're butting heads about certain things, I think part of it is that I'm learning something and you're learning something, but we just don't want to give in to the fact that we're learning something. So let's go to something that we're going to come back to the other stuff later. Let's build on that, because in order for us to move as a nation, we all have to be on the same page. We have to do our part, be a good teammate, listen to what I have. I didn't like it when you said this. Well, and don't get defensive. And that's for every side.
Yes.
Because I know as a culture, there are things that I don't agree with that others will say, oh, Bruce, they were tripping because they did this. And I always go back to accountability. That's what I was raised. So for me to see some African Americans lose their lives, I'm not saying it was their fault, that they should still be alive. But what was going on prior to that? What was going on where it brought about that type of attention to an individual? I don't think there's any reason why an individual running away should be shot. But at the same time, I go back to what started it all. And that's where I think we have to get to as a African American race, is understanding that we have to be held accountable. You can't break a window and then you get shot, and now you're upset that you got shot. You never should have broke into that window or broke into that house. You play a role too. And unfortunately, Claudia, I see more and more younger mothers and young fathers are not present, and they are not teaching those values to the kids that are so necessary. Because number one, you might say you're hungry, but that doesn't give you the license to go steal.
Good
Eat up
point.
everything in the house first. Eat up everything in the house first before you go and do something like that. I was raised that way, so that even when I thought I was in the right, I had a brother that would always bring me back to, what did you contribute to that? There's this, give you a quick story here. I was hanging out at a liquor store I shouldn't have been hanging out at. My brother always said nothing good happens after 12. And
Fair.
so I'm sitting in the back truck now. I parked my car around the corner just in case, because I know, so I'm sitting in the back of somebody's truck and I'm talking to an old friend of mine. And out of the left side, I see this guy walking and he's crying, being consoled by two other guys. And he's saying, he killed my homie. They killed my homie. And I just kind of glance over there and I'm still talking. And all of a sudden I see a flood of people running towards us. Now, when we see a bunch of people running towards us, we don't hang out to see why they're running towards
No,
us.
we run.
We run too. So there was a fence about 5 yards to my right. I ran, I hit that fence, I hopped over that fence, and I crawled on my belly, got to the other side of the fence, hopped that fence, and ran to my car. Got home, and I was so nervous, I couldn't go to sleep. My brother worked the late shift, so he got in right around 1:30, or no, he got in at 1 o'clock. And I'm like, yo, they were shooting, because that's why the whole way that we're running, because somebody was shooting through there. Now, my brother first thing, he listens to me and he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And I heard pop, 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 and I ran, and I this, and I came here. And he said, says, you shouldn't have been there no way. That's what we need more of. We need parents, because I see these AAU moms. I see these AAU dads. I see how they act. I see how they talk to the official. And then we wonder why this 12-year-old can cuss better than a 37-year-old.
Or a 51-year-old.
Or if there it is. So, I mean, so there is accountability we have to get to as well. So I get it that we need to have those important and those difficult conversations with leaders in positions of authority that are white, but even within our culture, there's a lot of work to be done, Claudia. It's just, I I hate to see the momentum of what has transpired kind of die down now, because now you got African Americans still killing other African Americans. What is that about? That's not George Floyd. That's not stand up for Breonna Taylor.
True.
That's the ignorance that was going on prior to what happened to those other two individuals. And the emotions were very emotional. So when the emotion dies down, we go back to what we were doing. It's an even better opportunity now to make sure you keep momentum going the right way. And what's the right way? It's having those conversations and also policing our community. And what I mean by policing our community, I don't mean defunding the police, because when it comes to defunding the police, that means there's going to be pay cuts. And so that means, so for example, here in Fresno, there's going to possibly be 180 police officers taken off the street,
Oh,
lost jobs. So what happens when there's less police around? Do we become better citizens?
no, more crime. Absolutely.
More crime, more crime. And you have these individuals saying this. So what I see is kind of like what happened in the early 80s, in the 70s, where crack entered the South Central LA area,
I
where
remember.
guns were dropped off in a hood in Compton so that the Bloods and Crips could battle it out and kill one another off. See, those are the things that I know because of education, but also I have members that were doing. So how do we get back to our community, our cultures, and teach them? Teach them that, yes, it's great to have that passion, but that passion directed the wrong way, it can either save someone or it can lead them astray. And right now, that passion is not so much. It's level transpired, or I should say what was going on prior to the exposure of all the things that have transpired in our communities.
You know, I want to exhort you because, of course, you're my friend, and I think the fact that we've had different experiences in this world and in this life, to have these chats on a regular basis. Last time I said, hey, how about, it was after the fact that we spoke. But I think it opens the book for us to have these conversations regularly.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I love it. I think there is so much to communication. And I'm going to say this. You don't hear men talking about communication when it comes to just our feelings or anything like that, because we weren't taught to as men. Mm-hmm. We weren't taught that, hey, it's okay for your son to see you cry, because you're showing him vulnerability. You're showing him passion. You're showing him hurt. All these different emotions come along, joy. It's so necessary. Can you imagine telling someone to suppress their joy? Can you imagine suppress those feelings that you have? It builds up and it creates other issues within the body.
Yep, I know that all too well.
So for me, I think if there is anything that I can do to help the process, I'm all for it. And someone, my aunt was saying, well, you ought to go on this show and tell them this, and that. And I said, Auntie, it's not always about going on the big shows, because the big shows may not have that thought process. The big shows are there for something else. But if 5 people are reached out of 500, I said, that's a good thing. Because so many times people want, I want 20,000, I want this, I want that, but you're not able to reach 10 people out of that. Let's get to the part of reaching individuals and allow them to help spread what we're trying to do. I think that's the way that we're able to accomplish the necessary things when it comes to being better as a culture, as a person, but having these conversations. I look at you and I say, wow, what an amazing mom, but also amazing person at what she did as far as boxing is concerned, because I've learned more from boxing listening to you, because what you know about the craft and how you can delve into it and teach someone that's not so bright about it. You know, but at the same time, it didn't absolve you from being a mother.
No.
And it didn't absolve you from dealing with reality being a mother, dealing with reality of being a woman in a male-dominated place. So I think when we talk about things and when we tell people who they can look up to, it's not always that individual that's just on a bigger platform. Sometimes it's that individual that seems so normal, seems so just, oh, I can just talk to her, you know, because ultimately I think we try to live a life where at the end of the day, we can look back and say, oh man, I was able to affect change in a positive way, and it's going to continue to grow, as compared to throwing money at something saying, oh, look at that gymnasium I built. No, that's not it. Oof. Because those gymnasiums get tore up too. That's right. Let's build. Yes. and continue where people can continue to just water the seeds that we're planting. And next thing you know, someone else comes and harvests those things that we planted, and someone else starts to plant seeds as well in a bigger field. So I'm all for it.
Let's do it, because the amount of reaction that we got from the last conversation, we're really just scratching the surface. Really, we're going to be honest here. Because this is not the type of conversation that you just have 1 hour and that's it.
No.
People don't know that we talk before and then we talk after, and then, you know, but I would love, I was, you know, I talked to you about doing this maybe every other week. Mm-hmm. As the season goes on, obviously you have commitments, but I would love to have this conversation, because this is not just about basketball. Basketball brought us together, even though the Lakers will always, you know.
Oh my!
You know, I love.
I mean, do you really have to do that? I mean, you could have stopped right at basketball brought us together. I mean, had me at hello.
No, I had you at Celia Cruz, which is not even a hello. So you know what? I am going to say something. I am going to say something that is going to be really interesting. But I remember going to Spanish Harlem back in the day, and I really thought to myself, this is where the hood meets the barrio. This is where things really happen. Is that bad that I thought this is where the hood meets the barrio? No, and I just said that with an American accent. No, this is
you really did,
hood,
because you went barrio.
Barrio. This is where the hood meets the barrio. Exacto. El vato within me, or la bata, or la jeva within me would love to hang out with you. And hopefully we can do this every week. I know you're on vacay, and I thank you dearly for taking time. And tell the boys I said hi. And thank you. I know next week we're going to have.
I definitely will. And well, that's fine with me. We'll keep coming up with different things to kind of touch on.
Just scratch. Because that's all we need to do, just scratch, and allow, if we can get somebody to scratch a little deeper, so be it.
There it is.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye now, but you know that I'm not going to say goodbye. So I'm just going
Right.
to say goodbye for the rest of us. But you and I will be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Bruce.
All righty.
Have a great time in my Cali. I love Cali.
Mm-hmm.
Say hi
Yeah,
to your
of course you
family,
do.
enjoy it, and say hi to the boys. And I'll be with you in a second.
Okay.
Bye. I gotta make sure.